Hello. So I want to take you briefly on how to probably capture some accounting records, especially the past records. Uh, First of all, what you'll need to determine is the kind of report or the kind of records you want to capture. Like in this case, for example, you want to capture crusher plant erection pillars. So if you want to capture the crusher plant erection pillars, uh, we will consider them as fixed asset because of their significant cost and the lifespan. They have long lifespan. And actually, we're going to use them to generate income. So we will consider them as fixed asset. So for instance, you've been spending some money to have the erection pillars done, and you may not be able to tell the exact cost at once. So you can capture several records, and instead of expensing them, you will post them in the crusher plant concrete pillar. So for instance, maybe let me say I don't have it in the chart of accounts. So what I'll do, I'll come to add a new account. Then I'll select the company. Once I've selected the company, I'll just type now the suitable name. For instance, in this case, I'll use the crusher plant erection pillars as my preferred name. So once I've done that, I'll click down here. This will automatically populate, and then account number, you can just do 001, no problem. And then the type will be asset in this case. And then the subtype will be non-current asset or fixed asset. So it's this is a fixed asset, so it's a non-current asset. And then I'll write it, I'll give it a description. I can still repeat the same name, or I can just say, all costs incurred in, all cost of erection, all cost of construction. Sorry, I can just use this, all cost of. So if somebody looks at the description of that account, it will be all cost of on constructions, probably incurred in doing the crusher plant erection pillars. So I'll come here, I'll put my site or the site where the data set is, and then I'll click register. So once I've registered this, remember the account balance of this particular account is 0. So I'll probably start spending on it. So if I was just, if I didn't have a petty cash to manage this, or I was just purchasing items and probably from the bank direct, if I have that record, what I'll do, if it was from the bank or petty cash, I just come to accounting here. So once I'm in the accounting panel, I can do cash book posting. Then I'll select the company here, of course, to give me the banks that are associated, or let me say even the petty cash that is associated to that account, to that company. For example, we have Standard Chartered Bank here. So I'll select date, the date of that transaction. I can backdate to even last year, for instance. Once I have the records, maybe it was last year, sometime in January. And then if there's any reference document, something like a receipt number, I'll write it here. And then the account name in this case can be the supplier name, for instance, especially, let me say, even I want, for example, I want to pay something like 5 bags of cement, which went into that, or even some bolts, or even some marine boards, or even the reinforcement bars. So account name here, I'll write the supplier name. Let's say it's for instance, in this case, let me say Jumbo Hardware. So I'll write Jumbo. And then I'll do the description, cement. Let me say 100 bags. And then I'll come here. I'll put the amount, maybe 116,000. Remember here, the amount is inclusive of VAT. And then I'll select the tax. If it was there, and then I'll put the. So I'll put that credit debit. And then I'll come here. I'll just sort of click here and it will auto-populate the credit amount. And then I'll select now my project. After which I'll now select the account that I want to debit. So in this case, we want to debit the crusher plant, crusher erection pillars. So I'll look for it. We have it here. Remember the account we just added. And then I'll look at VAT. I'll put the VAT control account. So if I click this, it will just auto-populate, and then I'll click post. So when I click post, what has happened here is that we spent money worth 116 from our Standard Chartered Bank. And then we add an asset, crusher plant erection pillars, which is now worth 100,000. And then we have got the VAT control account, which has already been debited with 16,000. Remember, when we debit, we gain, or we can claim for this money because we've spent it and on value added. So that is how you can do you can capture your fixed asset or the expenses which have been incurred in earning or in getting that fixed asset. So you can as well add some other costs, so that this your fixed asset will have, at the end of it, will have the total cost incurred in acquiring it. So for instance, in this case, let's say we had another item from Jumbo on a different date. So we'll come here and probably have the transaction description in this case. So this first column will just remember what you've done. But if you want to do a new entry from a different supplier, you can do it, or even on a different, from a different supplier, you can do it here. You can set a different date. Remember, this one we had set 10th of January 2023. So let's say on 25th again, we took some board, maybe from the same supplier, but on a different item. So you can just write maybe it's board for concrete works. For concrete works, maybe you're using them for form work. So you'll put the amount here. Of course, maybe let me say it is now this board is going to cost us, let me say, around 70,000, VAT inclusive. So the tax amount will be that, the amount debited will be that, credit amount will be that 70. Then this one will auto-populate once you click on them, and then you click on add posts. So it will still add. So in the long run, when you go to your, for example, balance sheet, because those are items that need to appear in the balance sheet. If you go to your balance sheet here, let me just select that date. It's January 2023. So let me say it was 10th, then January 2023. Let me just do it up to 10th. We'll see first of all how our balance sheet looks like. So in this case, our balance sheet looks like this. We have a fixed asset of crusher plant worth 100,000. But remember, we had put another cost of acquiring that fixed asset on the 25th. So if we could filter our balance sheet to 25th of 2023, we shall be able to see something of this sort. So our fixed asset currently has got an additional cost. So that is how you'll find this crusher plant plant erection pillars. You'll find the cost of acquiring it. So that is how we can post. So that's one way we can post. We can post either through cash book, or if we already have the supplier registered and we want to track the suppliers, probably the supplier is expensive. So we could go to suppliers. Then once we've gone to suppliers, probably say in this case, there's a supplier that supplied us diesel. Let's say it's this Wells oil. It supplied us diesel, and probably we want to also maintain the supplier's statement. So we can actually also expense from here direct, where we can do, we can post invoice, supplier's invoice. Let's say now this one was in January 2024, or let me just backdate it to last year, that was 2023. So in January there, now let's use even 30th. And then there was an invoice number. And then this invoice is saying that this person supplied us diesel for generator and mixer used in concrete works. So let's say we also want to track this cost, but we want it to go in the in the acquisition of that crusher plant concrete erection concretes. So let's say we can put now here the quantity. Let's say it was 100 or a significant, let's say 1,000 liters, of course, with the unit here liters. Unit price, but this is a unit price, so let's say 189. And then that should be our amount. If it was tax inclusive, you'll put the tax there. And then now you'll select the project, your project that you're doing. And then you'll now credit. In this case, we're going to credit account payable, but we are going to debit our crusher plant erection pillars. And then, of course, we'll have the VAT selected there. Then we click that to not populate, and then you post. So if you post this, remember it's also gone to your crusher plant erection pillars. And now if you look at the balance sheet, you will find that you have now more value of that particular asset. So if I come home here, and then now maybe filter from 1st of, so 2023, January, from 10th, yeah, first entry was on 10, then 2023, let me put it this 2023, January, up to 30th now. So you'll find that the asset cost is now at 300. So that is how it will, when you capture the expenses incurred in that asset, you'll find that at the end of it, you'll have the value of that particular asset. So you can view it in this manner, or you can as well have the breakdown of that particular account when you come to the general ledger. So I can come to general ledger of CBAD, and then I can backdate from January 2023. I can even put it first or even 10th, and then probably even up to date. And then if I click on view, I should be able to see my crusher plant erection pillars here. And if I click on the ledger, I'll be able to see the breakdown of how it has come to 323,275 and 86 cents. So this is how we have spent. So we had our first entry here was cash payment to Jumbo for $7 of $100. And then we had again another one is cash payment to Jumbo hardware for boards, for concrete works, for formworks. And this one was, you have the dates here also. We have 10th, we have 25th, again we have 30th. So on 30th, we had an invoice from Greenwells Concrete for diesel for 100, for generator and mixer used in concrete works. And it costed at this much. So this is how you will probably also have a breakdown if you want to see what accumulated to this 300 and something thousand. You can also view the ledger of that particular account. So that is how you can capture the cost. You can remember you can do a cash book posting directly from the bank, or if you want to capture the supplier statement, like now in this case we have already captured supplier statement, which was this Greenwells. And then if we use the upper one or the lower one, you can always have that particular kind of statement captured. You can invoice supplier direct. And in this case, remember here we have got this information here captured, which was diesel. I think this was the diesel. No. I think it was on the other account. Here it is, invoice from Wells for diesel for generator and mixer. So you'll find your statement with that supply is also captured. That is if you do it at the supplier panel. And for example, if you had payment for this, you can as well come here. Let me just see it with supplier. And supplier ID number 16 is Greenwells Oil. So I'll come to this Greenwells Oil, this one here. I can as well post payments. If I have the payments information, I can backdate. Probably it was, I did it in 2023, maybe on the same date, it was 30th of January. I can as well come here and post. If it was a check, if it was a transaction, transfer, you could write that code here. And then, of course, it's payment for the. So I'll come here, put the amount due. Amount due could be the amount that I used to pay. If it was 116,000, if I have got those details, I'll just put them there. I can repeat the same number here. And then I'll put the VAT rate. If it was 16%, if I withheld, I'll put the percentage of withholding. If I didn't withhold, I just put 0. Then I'll probably, because we have it's a new supply and all that, so my check amount will still stand at 116. I'll select the project, of course. Payment mode, it's a check. I'll select check. Then I'll credit my bank that I used to pay, and then I'll debit the accounts payable. And then I'll also select the VAT control account here, even though we've not withheld, so it will not post anything there. Then I'll select that, and then I'll click on post. So if I click on post, you find that Greenwells has also been debited with this amount, of course. So it has reduced my expenses, my balance with that particular supplier. And then below here, we have got Standard Chartered Bank, which has been credited with 116,000, and accounts payable has also been debited to reduce my payables with 116,000. So that is how we'll capture the records. Thank you.